You are listening to From Ring to Veil.
I'm Shannon.
And I'm Kim.
And we are your wedding planning gurus.
We take the stress out
and put the fun back into wedding planning. Guestbook Ideas, episode number 149.
Well, for us, it is November finally, November 1st, when we are recording this. You guys, if you are listening, it's actually November 10th or so, or after. But for us, it's very exciting. We just had Halloween night last night. Did your kids go out?
No.
No? Not at all?
Mm-mm. We had a neighborhood party, but we didn't even have very many trick-or-treaters, so I have all this candy left. I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
Send it to the troops or something.
It's chocolate, so.
You can't do that? You can't send chocolate?
No, because it'll melt.
Oh, that sucks. Well, especially there anyway.
Yeah,
well, my kids, one went to her friend's house so they could watch the second season of Stranger Things. Or start watching it anyway. They got a few of them watched. And then the other one went with his friend trick-or-treating. So I was just here with my husband, and I handed out probably, I think altogether there were 6 different groups of kids that came up. So more than I thought, but not enough to take all the stinking candy that I bought.
Yeah, I know. We were expecting more because there's a lot of young families in this new neighborhood, but I guess it started raining, and then a lot of the people that were at the party said that they were going to go home and watch the World Series game. So,
gotcha. That's very important. I know.
Hey, it was. There it is. And there's one more game tonight.
So. Wow. Craziness. Well, I hope everybody had a safe Halloween. And so this is something that comes later on after you're married, you have kids, you got to deal with all this stuff. Trick-or-treating, and if you want to, if not to, is it too cold? Do you need jackets to cover up? It's like a whole thing. So good luck with all that. All right. So are you subscribed to the show? If not, why not? Tell us. info@fromringtoveil.com. Why have you not subscribed? If you're looking for our show, we should be anywhere and everywhere. And I even sent in our application to be on iHeartRadio. So hopefully that goes through very soon. You could hopefully find us there. Subscribe, please. Subscribe. Thank you. Now on with the show.
So we're talking guest books today, and they have changed a lot through the years. Traditionally, it was just a book you set on the table with a little feather pen, and you signed it, and there you go.
It was started because it was a testimony of the attendants to the covenant of the marriage. So if there was any question if the marriage was legal, binding, whatever, you had this ledger of all these people, which I guess kind of makes sense in the olden days. But now we have all the legal paperwork that pretty much tells it that it's legal and binding. So we've kind of gotten away from that. And that's good,
it's boring.
I think. It is.
And you never keep the book any longer than, necessary, I guess. And so
I think my wedding planner booklet that I had a guest book, and I think that's what we ended up using.
I don't even know where mine's at. So
exactly. There's really, unless you're doing something fun that you can display, there's the guest book is really kind of useless. So we are giving you some creative and fun things to do with your quote unquote guest record.
Yes.
So that you can have just a fun memento.
Right.
Really is what that is.
And so the first one I really like, I think it's kind of cool. It's a time capsule. And so what I would do with this I would put their names, their date, and maybe something funny that's going on or something, so you can look back on it, or some kind of fun memory about the couple, and they can look back on it and laugh later or whatever. But yeah, I kind of like that.
I would probably put like some magazines and some, like make it a real time capsule. What happened that month or that date, or if you're getting married this weekend, that I don't know what kind of fun things you could put into that, because right now
there's not a lot of fun things.
Not great.
Yeah,
but something fun from this year or whatever. I like that too. I mean, what would you do with the guests? Would you just have them sign something?
Well, I mean, they can put like little anecdotes or bring something with them, or I don't know.
Pictures, maybe?
Yeah. Or
That'd be kind of fun.
Take a picture and put it in there, what you look like 10 years ago if you open it up 10 years later or something like that.
Or open it up on your silver anniversary.
Yeah. So.
Well, that kind of leads into the next one, a Polaroid guest book, which I've seen where they hang them on the wall or the guests get to take them with them. Maybe you take two, one for the guest, one for the couple. Just a fun little treat, I guess, memento. And, that could definitely be your favor is the Polaroid guest book.
We're not going to get into favors today.
Yeah.
So everyone knows about Cards Against Humanity. It's a game. Well, they have blank cards in with the regular ones. And so you can take them out and use them. They can put something on the Cards Against Humanity guest cards, and then you can play them with their regular game. And so that would be kind of fun.
That would be fun. I think a whole game like that would be really fun. All right, a guest book monogram sign. So you get your the first letter of your new last name, and then you have all your guests sign it, and that's something that you can hang in your new home.
And it could be like made out of wood, made out of corks, made out of anything you want to, just as long as it's a monogram or your letter. Doesn't need to really be like a big fancy monogram. It could just be the letter of your last name. So.
Whatever suits you. I'm not happy. I don't like monograms. Can I just tell you that right now?
Why?
They always confused me because of the way that, the letters are. I'm like, but, my middle name. Anyway, so that's why I just never really liked them. And what if you have 4 or 5 names? How's that work on your monogram?
You pick the last name that you're going to take.
Right. But then you have your first initial and your middle initial and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, if you're just doing you're doing the couple, you have their first name and
that makes sense. Their
first name initials, and then the middle initial, which is the largest initial, is their last name.
There you go. Okay. Okay.
If you do it that way. Or you can just have the last name in a letter. It doesn't have to be a fancy monogram. So anyway.
Or you could, with the letters, it could say Mr. and Mrs. or whatever, but something like that you can hang on your wall, I think would be really pretty.
Yeah. The next one is puzzle pieces. You can get a puzzle. Maybe you had engagement photos taken or something like that, and you can get a puzzle made out of it, and then you can turn them over, and then they can sign the puzzle pieces and put them back together. Or you could put them back together later. And you can have them on the back of your puzzle. Everyone who came to your wedding.
Yeah. That'd be really fun. Next one, wedding quilt guest book. If you're doing some kind of maybe a more country type themed or relaxed backyard type theme, you just lay your quilt out, and you could also do pillowcases and handkerchiefs and all that kind of stuff. Even like a tablecloth. It just depends on what you want to do. But then you get these fabric pens where you could write on there and they don't wash out, because that's going to be really important if you don't want them to wash out. But I've also seen where you can take them and get them stitched over the names so that it's actual stitching instead of just the pen. That would probably cost a little bit, but I think it's well worth it if you don't want to lose any of those. Because if you think about it, some of the people at your wedding, when you first get married, might be some of the older generation of your family that mean a lot to you. And then in the years when they've passed away, you'll still have their signature. I just kind of feel like that's a little special.
Yeah. Okay. You could have a guest book bench. If your significant other is crafty in woodworking, he can make a bench.
Or if you're crafty,
whoever. Or if you just want to go buy one, a small bench, they can sign it, and then you can, shellac over it so the names won't go away.
Or burn it in if it's wood. You can go over it with the wood burning tools, or I was going to say chisel it if it's if it's stone, but that probably wouldn't work too well.
Yeah.
Then there's the word find guest book. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, you take all of your guest names, make it into a word find. There's tons of programs out there that you can do this with, and they have to go in and circle their name when they get there.
Mm-hmm. And then you'll know who didn't show up. No, but I think that's really fun. I love word find anyway.
Yeah.
So the next one we have is the Christmas wedding.
Yes.
So you could get the Christmas tree ornaments and have each one of them there's a couple different ways you could do it. You could have them signed on the outside, or you could have them signed something that you put inside of like the glass ones. Mm-hmm. Either way.
Yeah.
Anything else that you could think of on that?
You could have multiple ornaments, I guess, or the Christmas tree. I like the Christmas tree wall where they sign it, but where are you going to keep those? You know, are you going to hang those on your tree every year? So I kind of like the ones where you just sign something and maybe put them in like a large Christmas ball. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's
ornament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's kind of like, you know, all your guests are inside this one Christmas ornament, and then you can just hang that one on the tree.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love Christmas ornaments, but then you could just get a tree that you can hang all your guest ornaments on. You know, like it's okay to have more than one tree, right?
Miss Christmas over there.
You can have a couple trees.
The next one is a message in the bottle, kind of like what I was talking about with the Christmas tree ornaments. You can get either one large bottle and have them all stick messages in, or you can get single little bitty bottles and have them stick a message in them. You know, either one. So
you could also do marriage advice cards. Although don't take it personally when you get some jokesters and some trolls, because sometimes people are going to want to be funny.
Or try to be funny.
Yeah, or try to be funny is the key word. But I think that's really fun, especially with the older crowd. What's their advice to you for your marriage? I would like that. I probably would do something like that for my wedding if I was getting remarried.
The next one is words of wisdom or wishes for your marriage. You can do them the same as the advice cards or the message in the bottle or whatever. Mm-hmm. So
you could do a map or a globe guest book and have the guests either sign it or pin it where they come from and keep that for a memento and maybe a scrapbook, or even you could shadow box it or something, put it on your wall. Mm-hmm. And then that'd be kind of fun.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I guess you couldn't shadow box a globe, but that would still be somewhere, something that you could set somewhere.
Yeah. You can have, if you're doing kind of a rustic wedding, you're having lots of natural elements in your wedding, you can do the big round wood slices and have everybody sign it with a pen, and then you can shellac over it and keep it forever.
That's right. Use that as decor in your house. Mm-hmm. Rocks. Now, you've all seen these where people put words on rocks and then they keep those in like a big vase or something like that. You could do the same thing with your guest book and have them sign a rock. And you could, depending on the size of the rocks, you could even let them put a little message on that too. And then you just put it all in one pretty vase, and depending on how many guests you have, I guess, maybe 2 or 3. And then that's something also that you could use as decor in your home.
Circle words in a dictionary and they can sign by it. So if you're very wordy and you like words like I do, I love words. So I don't know. But anyway, so you could have them sign their favorite word or words about marriage and love or something like that, and go in there and circle it, and they can sign their name next to it.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really fun. And then you could have, if you're more on the religious side, you can have your Bible there or a Bible there, and with some highlighters, and have your guests highlight their favorite passages, and then maybe even sign right next to that. I thought that was a really special idea.
Okay, and then we have the shadow boxes with the corks and the wood pieces and the little hearts and all this kind of stuff that you can sign and put in the box and keep the box forever and ever and ever.
And this is something that you could really customize to your theme of your wedding.
Right.
All right, Mad Libs. Who doesn't love Mad Libs? Have each of your guests fill out a little Mad Lib and sign it on the bottom, and then you can read them later and laugh your butts off during your honeymoon week, or first anniversary. I think that would be super fun.
You could have an idea book, and they can do like suggest how to go on a date night, or something fun for you to do later on down the line.
Mm-hmm. A guest box instead of guest books, where guests can record a message or a video. So like you could have a little video recorder station, kind of like a photo booth, but a little video booth where they can step in, leave you a little how do you do or a little message, or even any of these like idea books, how to make up, what kind of dinners that you should do, things like that. It just get fun with it, so that when you go back through and watch and listen to these, you'll just have a great time. And I guess I get sentimental, like if you, later on down the road when you're watching that and your favorite aunt has passed away, you've got that there giving her advice to you.
That's all the ideas that we have for guest books today. If you have more or ideas that you want to share with us, just let us know and email us at info@fromringtoveil.com or message us on Facebook.
I think that's fun. Anyway. All right. Now it's
listener question time.
Today we have a couple of questions. Trying to get a count for wedding day. How do you kindly put that an RSVP is required in the invitation? Okay, let's stop there and address that right now.
You have to make it simple for people, because if it's too hard, they won't do it. Let me tell you. I would just have a card. If you're sending out a invitation suite with other information on it, I would have a card in your invitation of an RSVP. Make sure you address it to who you want to come. If you're doing like Sally Jane, blah, 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 and guest, or just Sally Jane or Sally Jane's family, or you have to make it clear on who you're inviting. So, and then make sure that on that RSVP card is yes, no, and dinner choice. Give them the choices of the dinners, and then they have to check which one. So just make it simple and easy.
I think, for me, I don't think it's rude or anything to put RSVP required on that card. That's just fine. That's not rude at all.
No.
And people should know by now that RSVPs are required, that you need to know who's coming.
Right.
I would also put on that RSVP card, if you don't necessarily need them to send you the card, you could say, go to this website, RSVP here, and maybe even get a QR code or something they could scan with their phone that makes it simple to just pull up that page and said, yes, we're coming. I'm bringing one guest and we want the chicken. Just like Shannon said, make it simple. So put it on that little card, however you want them to RSVP, and make it very clear that it's required.
Okay, our next question is, I will need a count for the catering, table settings, etc. I know that things will come up, and some people that RSVP will not arrive, and others will show up with more than expected. But how do I get people to actually reply? This is basically the same question, Kaylee. It's just, you're going to have to make it simple. You could even do an email address. Maybe just do whatever your last name is, wedding RSVPs at gmail.com, you know, and say, you could email us, say you're coming, tell us what you're bringing, whatever.
Make it easy.
Yeah.
It seems like RSVPing is something of the past. No, it is not. Can you give me any words of wisdom? Should I just plan for an extra 15 to 20 more people than the RSVPs?
Well, your caterer should always plan for more than what's going to be there. You need to talk to your caterer about that. And to get people to RSVP, if you're having a planner help you, they can help you with the RSVPs. If you're not getting them on time, they can call people, or you can call people and say, look, I really need your RSVP. I need to get the final count to the caterer. You can
also have your bridesmaids or your parents or your mother-in-law.
Right.
Do those calls too.
Right. So, I mean, you're just going to have to force them.
Yes.
And if they don't RSVP,
don't let them in. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, you have a specific date. You make sure you have a specific date on that RSVP and say, this is the last day to RSVP. If you do not RSVP by this date, I'm sorry, but,
Yep.
there will be no food for you.
Right. I would also say have an extra table. Just one extra table. And you'll most likely have plenty of chairs or rows at the church, wherever you're having that. But, an extra table and some extra food and maybe a little extra drink. If you're doing drinks and stuff. So it's better to over plan on that than to under, because then you'll run into a situation like we did. I'll have to share. We went, and I don't know if I told this before, but when I was in Salt Lake for convention, we went to a dinner, and I think what happened was there was a lot more people than they expected because they were going to do it as just a buffet style, but then they ended up doing it on plates, and they didn't have enough servers. The plates were tiny, which would have been okay if we knew that going into it. But it really, people, like, there were skipped tables and people waited a very long time. It just makes it a mess. So it's better to over plan than to under plan.
Right. And so if you want more information about guest lists and RSVPs and tips on things like that, we have an episode. It's number 24, and it's called Your Guest List and 17 Tips on Who You Should Invite. So you can check that out. We'll have the link in the show notes,
which is www.fromringtoveil.com/24. That's all we have for you today. Good luck on those guest books and on your RSVPs. We wish everybody good luck on those. We know it's hard. Even when it comes to birthday parties and other such things. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, it's just kind of it's something that you have to really be vigilant at and remind them and make it really easy for them to do. So
you can reach us at any time by emailing us at info@fromringtoveil.com.
Subscribe to the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever.
And until next time, no stress, no worries. Keep calm and listen on.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. You can find us on Facebook, From Ring to Veil, on Twitter, @From Ring to Veil, and on our website, FromRingToVeil.com.
Music provided by bensound.com.